What is going on, movie meals? That's right. Christmas sweaters coming early because Christmas is around the corner.
Not even Thanksgiving
Yeah, the second Halloween ends, it's right to me putting out the Christmas sweaters and the lights up.
No one cares
I'm
about
all for it.
yet.
No, I do. It's just the pre-season to what is Christmas. I understand what Thanksgiving is. I enjoy it. I'll be rocking this on Thanksgiving.
Doesn't even get a preseason. It gets a day. It's Christmas, Thanksgiving, Christmas. Eve, Christmas.
Exactly. All right. So, movie meals. Joining us on the after show, good buddy Tanner coming back. Did the discussion kind of the Mandalorian final trailer. Been trying to get him on. Schedules didn't work out for the first 2 episodes, but episode 3, perfect episode to get another sweaty Star Wars nerd on, because this episode was jam-packed with stuff. So if you, for some reason, haven't seen Clone Wars or Rebels and you're watching this, you know, the 12 of you, get out of here. Don't need you. Go watch that and then come back. Well, Kyle will deal.
I'll be fine. All right. I'll catch up.
So let's just start. We'll kind of let the conversation go as we talk, but we'll start with Kyle real fast here. We'll jump over to Tanner after. What was your thoughts on this episode, season 3 here? I lost the name of the title. I even double checked it to figure out which the title was. What was it?
The Heiress.
That's right. All right, go ahead, Kyle.
I really enjoyed this episode. Quickly right off the bat, might be one of my favorite episodes. I thought it had a little bit of everything that this type of show really needs it to have, like a lot of drama, a lot of stakes, a lot of action, really good action, like some really great shots, not just for Star Wars, but just for TV as a whole. This episode really got me ramped back up into this show. Unlike episode 2, I wasn't the biggest fan of episode 2, but luckily episode 2 set up a good starting point for episode 3. And then once I figured out that what happened in episode 2 leads into episode 3 really well, it just took off from there and I was instantly hooked. I'm sure like you guys are going to get into a lot of the nitty gritty, like Star Wars deep dive type of stuff that I probably have missed out on, but I'd say from like a casual fan standpoint, like there was just a little bit of everything to where I was hooked from start to finish. Really loved this episode. Bryce Dallas Howard came out with another great directed episode, so we got to give a lot of props to her because like she like killed it with this episode, I thought. So a lot of props to her because this episode really killed it. I can't wait to see where this show has. It's now gotten me completely back hooked.
I echo that entirely. Bryce Dallas Howard knocked this episode out of the park, which, I mean, overall was amazing. I thought that her episodes of season 1 were kind of, I mean, like they were good, but they weren't, you know, like the most incredible thing that I've ever watched.
Yeah.
But overall, this episode might be, if not my favorite episode, one of the top 2 episodes that I've ever watched. Just between not only like the cinematography, but the music and the writing and all of the deep cuts that they bring in and draw from all of the other sections of Star Wars and bring it all into one. It's just so beautiful to see, especially when you've got 2 sweaty nerds such as Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni that are putting their creative minds together on this show. It's just perfect. And between the story writing that we get and all of the action that we get on the Ganzanti freighter towards the end of the episode, all of it incredible.
This might be my favorite episode of the whole show. I know a lot of people didn't like Bryce's. She only had the 1 episode, which was chapter 4, Sanctuary, in season 1. I know that one, and then Dave Filoni's episode right after was hit with kind of not being the best. I actually very much liked her first episode. I loved this episode. Her getting Bo-Katan introduced, I think having a woman director introduce one of the, best female characters we have, I think is awesome. And I thought she did a great job. I loved the world. Kyle and I talked about it on this show where, remember, we were like, wait a minute, there's a passenger that's like a frog, and there was that shot in the trailer where they're on a boat. So he's probably going to that planet. And then the second the episode started, I mean, it started with that really cool shot from the trailer with the Razor Crest hobbling along to the planet and then right onto the water. I loved seeing Admiral Akbar and his species, which his name's escaping me at the moment. I love seeing more of that. Yes, Mon Calamari, thank you. And kind of the different creatures we got to see. We don't see an overall water planet too much, so it was pretty cool to see something like that compared to just the desert and the ice that we tend to always get, or a forest.
Yeah.
Right. But and we're heading back to a forest, according to Bo-Katan, where Ahsoka is. But we'll talk more into that. But I thought she did a great job. And as I pulled up some stuff here as I've been doing on this show, and because they hadn't been announcing all the directors of every episode, but now they have, except for the finale. So we now know who's directing every episode for the rest of the season, except for the finale.
Really? Who's all directing the other episodes besides the finale?
Carl Weathers is taking the next one,
okay.
which is going to be interesting. And and then it's going to be Dave Filoni. And I know Kyle and I on the first episode, Tanner, we talked about how we thought maybe that'll be episode 5 of season 2, that we thought that will be where Ahsoka is introduced, because it would make sense for Dave to take his character. And we know Carl Weathers is coming back, as well as Gina Carano. So maybe he's got to get a crew, and he doesn't think he can get there without a crew. So maybe there's going to be a little side episode here as we take our time to get Ahsoka. But then it's going to go, Robert Rodriguez is directing episode 6, which as I read that, I vaguely remember hearing that was happening. And I completely forgot about it.
By Kids 3D, let's go.
Yeah. That's the name of the episode, The Mandalorian, chapter
3D.
3D, yeah. And then it'll be Rick Famuyiwa. And then we don't know who's doing the last one. I would assume it's going to be Jon Favreau, or Taika comes back for that final episode. I would be kind of surprised if Taika didn't do one. I know he's got a busy schedule, but I'd be a little surprised if he didn't come back.
Didn't Taika direct the last episode of season 1?
He did. He only directed the finale of season 1. So that's what makes me think he's coming back for the finale, and they're keeping it a secret because they probably don't want to announce that it's Taika Waititi yet. But that's just kind of an interesting thing. Do you guys have any thoughts on those directors being kind of released as we take a little Mando side quest here?
How has Carl Weathers directed much?
That's a great question, Kyle. You work for a movie company. Come on, man. What do you?
Well, not so much not a movie company per se, but to my recollection, I don't recall him doing much directing, if at all. I could be able to
13.
Google that.
I've got it up. He's got 13 credits.
Oh, okay. A lot more than I expected.
Looks like all TV work, a couple episodes here and there, 5 episodes of Sheena back in the early 2000s. He directed 1 episode of Hawaii Five-0, and now an episode of The Mandalorian.
Okay. So, I mean, nothing, massive, but, I mean, he's got some directing under his belt.
Bryce hadn't really done anything until her first episode, too. So, you have producers like Filoni and Jon Favreau watching your every move. I'm curious to see how he handles it. I'm excited for it.
But just think how much confidence they had in Bryce. I mean, they probably were impressed by what she did in season 1's whatever episode she did, which, people liked, but they didn't think, it was all that amazing. But
I thought it was pretty great.
But for them to have so much trust in her and all the other directors to be like, hey, go tell the story that you want to tell. But at the same time, we all are in a collective of understanding where the story needs to go. I don't know. It's just a lot of trust that I just really respect. There's not many think tanks like that for any type of show or movie or franchise that can really do as great of a job as they have been.
Right. I especially after watching the gallery episode, the Star Wars galleries for the Mandalorian, as they kind of run through the process of how they shoot and kind of the entire production process from beginning to end of all of the episodes. It almost makes me wonder if it almost feels as though that this has a little bit more of like training reels. I'm not to like discredit anyone's directing talents that are on here, obviously, but there's so much money and so much prep work that needs to go into the episode before anything ever occurs, that directorially there's not a whole lot of like massive things that are falling down to your shoulders, if that makes any sense. Like, for instance, I don't know if you guys saw how they talked about pre-visual, how basically before the director even got onto set, that Dave Filoni and a number of other animators basically had almost the entirety of the episode shot in pre-visual. And then they went through and did the rest of it. Well, so the director did a lot of like the on-scene directing of actors and so on, but they already knew and had a skeleton of exactly what they wanted to do.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, that documentary is awesome because he really utilizes VR tech and all this crazy stuff. I mean, the fact that it looks as incredible as it does, and they don't film on location, they're filming in LA, is insane.
Right.
Like, it is insane to me. What did you guys think of the runtime? It was the shortest episode. We've gotten shorter and shorter. First one was just under an hour by 8 minutes or 7 minutes. Last one was like 45. This one was 36. What did you think of the runtime?
We're supposed to be going up, not down.
Exactly. What did you guys think of that? Did it go too fast for you? Did it drag? How did the episode feel?
Tanner, you want to take it?
I'll take it. Obviously, the more Mandalorian that I can get, the better. I was really enjoying at the beginning. What was the first episode? I want to say was like 50-something minutes. Then dropped to 40.
Yeah, it was just a little over 50.
And then this one's 36.
Yeah.
Obviously, the more Mandalorian that I can get, the better. I'm really love the like 50-minute mark that we got with like Game of Thrones and whatnot. But they took those 36 minutes and just used every single second of it. And it's by far the best paced episode that has existed, period.
Yeah. Kyle, did the runtime bother you at all?
No, I mean, as I was listening off everything at the start of the show that I enjoyed so much, it was just really cool that they were able to pack it in that half-hour-ish time. And it didn't feel like it was too much. It didn't feel bloated. It didn't feel too slow. It felt like the right amount of time, the right amount of speed of pace that the episode was on. It doesn't bother me. As long as the pace is good, as long as we're, just getting what we want out of each episode, it's not that runtimes haven't been an issue for me all that much.
Yeah, the runtime didn't bother me. Actually, I remember seeing when I first watched it, I was like, wow, 36 minutes. And I got up early, went to my job and watched it on my smart board so I could have a little bigger TV before anybody got to the building. And the janitor was there early, which doesn't usually happen. And he came in, was like, hey, I got to vacuum your room real quick. And I was like, all right. So I just paused real fast. And I looked and I was like, I still got like 15 minutes. I feel like they've done a lot in this episode. I can't believe we've got 15 minutes left. And we were just getting into the meat of it. I do want to get into the episode here, just to transition. One of the things I just thought of is one of the things I really liked is that they are doing a little bit of trying to subvert our expectations. They're trying to send us in different directions. Because I watched that trailer, seeing the shot of the boat, and it's the image of him longing out into the ocean or whatever. And I remember being like, man, that could be him going to Ahsoka. Like, this is his journey. Like, we've seen that this is the samurai taking the boat where he needs to go, or the cowboy. And it ends up being a trap. And, that never even thought to my mind that these fishermen were gonna go after him to get his Beskar. And I really liked that surprise. It had me kind of gasping a little bit. And I was like, what? No, like, come on, man. Mando's struggling. He does have some people come to save the day, but there are those moments where it's like, how is Mando going to get out of this? Like, the guy is not as elite as we think, because he does get saved quite a bit, but he also doesn't get out of it on his own too often.
Right.
But what else did you guys think about the episode? Any specifics? Let's dive in here or off of that.
Oh, shoot. I think overall, there's something I just as the Mandalorian, I kind of wanted to get out there as I've been kind of trying to like picture and put into words was it really kind of feels as though that Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau have really taken everything that Star Wars is and just boiled it down to its like absolute bare necessities of what makes Star Wars great, and I love that.
Yeah.
But honestly, I mean, one of one of my kind of oddly touching moments I actually found for me was the moment of the two frog people that were meeting up with each other. I don't know what it was, but like with the music and everything that was happening in that moment, and then them getting together and then embracing, you're like, oh, that's oddly sweet.
I got a little choked up.
Were those frog people puppets or were they costumes? Because it didn't look like CGI to me.
No, that's
they
all.
They were costumes.
They were
all
costumes.
Practical.
Okay,
yeah,
well,
I don't know if you know from the guy who played Quill from the last season. Well, actually, I say guy, but it's actually a short woman that plays Quill.
Mm-hmm.
And then the head on top was all animatronically controlled by other people that were watching it. And the same thing happened with these heads, and now she was the same actor that was playing this frog.
Oh, way cool.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, just what you're saying, the fact that we can get emotion in just such a little moment with, costumes is something that we don't really see very often, whether it's in movie or shows. Like we're used to seeing, that type of thing with real people with CGI in the background, but we don't really buy that much most of the time. So I'm kind of with you. Like, not only can they take the bare necessities of what makes Star Wars great, but just of, other genres or just other moments that make, entertainment just so special and just be able to, make them special for us, even if they're in a short amount of time. Like it's
Right.
really impressive, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Were you going to say something, Tanner?
Well, I don't know if you want to keep me talking. I've got 3 pages of notes here.
Dive into it.
We are going to dive into those notes, man. No holding back here.
Okay, here we go. So, starting from the beginning of the episode. So, man, that like opening landing sequence that we had, I loved it. I was getting oddly, I don't know why I was getting oddly sweaty in the palms as they were starting to make that dive, and you could actually see the heat start to build up on the ship. And then I don't know if you noticed, but they actually put condensation inside of the Razor Crest. It was coming down just like it was like 1980s rocket that was coming in for landing.
It had a very Revenge of the Sith feel too. It was like they said, "Hey, let's take that campy moment where they're falling and blazing up, and let's put that into this," which I really loved because it felt like a callback to the prequels. We're having fun. We're being serious. I loved it. It was awesome.
Yeah. What'd you think of the opener there, Kyle?
Yeah, I was kind of right there with you. I've seen that scene before to where it's like, oh no, the ship's falling down, and at the last second, they're just about to pull. We've seen that before, but for whatever reason, and I guess this goes to show for like the rest of this entire series, but the show is really good at like making Star Wars characters feel vulnerable. Like they aren't always going to escape everything at the last moment. So even though we know like Mando could find a way to get out of this, he's not always good at doing that a lot of the time. And we even see that, like he pulls up and he's just about to land, but then the ship still falls into the water, right?
And I loved that.
Exactly. So it gives us a sigh of relief because we understand that, like, the stakes seem small in the grand scale of Star Wars, but that's what we like about this show is that it somehow feels human.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So an intro like that, you get me hooked in all the right ways.
Is so great with the character of who's a Mandalorian because George created the Mandalorians as if they were us humans in this galaxy. They're supposed to be humans' answer to the Jedi. Like if we had these mythical forces, this is what we would come up with: armor, jetpacks to match their speed and agility and their force jumps and their powers. And the fact that they can make it feel human makes it relatable to us because it's like, man, some days we get lucky breaks. Like some days
Right.
we don't, and we thought we landed and we didn't. We fell right into the ocean.
Well, it's interesting you say that because I was going to ask a question to you guys about the Mandalorians, I suppose, because I'm a very casual fan. Like Mandalorian, I mean, I know a little bit, but I don't really fully know what it means entirely. Like it, and this episode kind of felt like it was questioning what a Mandalorian's purpose is.
For sure.
So I just wanted your guys' opinion on that. Like, were the questionings of the Mandalorian idea valid, or is this something that the Mandalorian specifically that we're following, is he on the right path, or is he starting to realize maybe he's making a mistake? I don't know. It kind of seemed like they threw that question at him about the idea of the Mandalorian.
Man, you got to watch Clone Wars, guy.
which yeah. So those answers are probably there, but I want to hear from you guys.
Let Tanner get sweaty first.
Okay. So you're absolutely right. The moment that they take their helmets off and you automatically see that like posture change from Mando of like, you guys are Mandalorian. What the hell is this?
Yeah, get out of here. He's ready to yeet, and he does.
I'm noticing a trend to where he's like, where did you get that armor? Like,
right.
Yeah.
Anyway, continue.
I love it in that moment specifically. He's like, oh man, the other Mandalorians that I've been looking for, takes the helmet off. It's like, where'd you get that armor from?
It's like,
and then he just takes off.
He is a child of the Death Watch. They are an extremist group that left after the Purge that wanted to get back to the old ways of Mandalore. So they have a lot more extreme of a creed, where it's you need to keep your helmet on. You're always to be a little bit more stoic, but act in a more honorable sense.
The old ways.
The old ways.
Gotcha.
Whereas, and actually, Lady Bo-Katan, actually, it's not Lady Bo-Katan, it's just Bo-Katan right now. She was actually part of Death Watch at one point in time, and then left. But then she goes on to explain to him of like, you know, oh gosh, you're one of the children of the Death Watch, an extremist cult, and
that was the part where I was like, what?
There was a civil war. There was a civil war at Mandalore at one point and before the Purge, where they were fighting. Mandalorians were fighting.
Okay.
And you see that in the end of the Clone Wars a little bit too, which is
amazing. In Clone Wars. Yeah. Okay.
Go ahead, Tanner. Continue.
Yeah, continue on.
Oh shoot. She ends up. Cool little fun fact about her as well. I don't know if you noticed like the markings on their shoulders and their helmet as well. They're actually part of a group called the Night Owls that are an all-female group of Mandalorians. Come to find out.
Yeah.
Well, so there's a lot of questions right now because in Rebels, the last time that we saw the Darksaber was in Bo-Katan's hands as she.
No, Sabine has it.
No, Sabine gave it up.
Sabine has it at the end.
So Sabine initially gets it. Sabine initially gets it on Dathomir. Then she gives it to Bo-Katan, who then declares herself the leader of the Mandalorians.
Yeah.
But then the Great Purge happens, and somehow we have no idea that Moff Gideon gets a hold of the Darksaber. And that's where that whole plot line is going, of her trying to get a hold of the Darksaber to then unite the Mandalorian people.
So when she said there's something I need from they stole something from me, that she's referring to our favorite villain of all time and how he has the Darksaber.
Yes. Oh man.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead. I interrupted you there.
Oh no. Do you have any actually to add to this, Al? Because I don't want to take all the thunder on this one.
Well, yeah, it's just they just fought a war, and now we're seeing the differences, which is going to be great for a character like Mando, because we're seeing him talk to somebody who not only fought in the Clone Wars, but Now, correct me if I'm wrong, because it has been a minute, but now Maul killed Bo-Katan's sister, didn't he?
Yes, Duchess Satine
Yes.
is killed by
Yeah.
Maul.
Yeah, and then she took over and becoming queen of Mandalore.
Yes, correct. And that was only after the siege of Mandalore when she got the Shadow Collective kicked off of Mandalore.
Yeah. So that, and for the show of the Mandalorian, that is what excites me more than anything. And that I talked about in our first episodes about how excited I am if we get a conversation where we can see just Mando and Boba Fett talking, because the ideologies of the different people who have Mandalore armor or are Mandalorian is so interesting to me. And that's what I loved, even though it was short and in the moment of this episode, was those conversations of him saying, no, you are not part of, you're not a real Mandalorian. And they're like, no, you're not. You're an extremist and you've gone too far. And he's just a bounty hunter. He was raised one way, but now he's off. He's now has this baby that is doing stuff. He's like, what the heck is this? Like, this baby's lifting animals. Like,
right?
What the heck is this baby doing? The magic hand thing, baby. Do the magic hand thing. And that's what I really like. And I can't wait for the conversation with Ahsoka and Ahsoka being with Sabine, because her being there is going to be big, because she was fallen away from being part of Mandalore, came back, ends up leaves again, and now ends where Rebels ends, with her traveling. And I want to know what these years have been with her. And so
right.
I'm just excited for what this has given us from back then with the Clone Wars show and Rebels to now. How is this impacting our new character we've come to really be attached to? But that's just where my head is going. Is that did we answer your question? I got off track as per you, but
you gave clarity to my confusion about why he seems, I guess, distant from these other Mandalorians, I guess. Yeah. So yeah, you guys did kind of clear my answer about that. And I also need to watch the rest of these shows. Obviously, I have a lot to catch up on. But it does make me wonder, after hearing you guys talk about the differences in ideologies between all these different Mandalorians, is this what his true arc is about? Like, not just him as a person, but what it means to be a Mandalorian, or what does a Mandalorian mean to him, and what is the right way or the wrong way of being one? At first I thought like this show was just going to be an arc of him as a person, but now I'm starting to think like whether it's specifically this season or the rest of the show, that's what the show is going to be about, is what, not only for himself as a person, as a character, but what the ideology of a Mandalorian is supposed to mean.
And
that's
what was so great about
you
go
go
ahead,
Alex.
sorry.
No, I was just wrapping up.
What was so great about season 1 is they hammered down, and we see other Mandalorians of his creed, and how much they hammer down, this is the way. Like it's their mantra. This is the way. And then at the very end, when we get that great moment with IG-11 taking off his helmet and say, "Look, I'm not a life form. I can see you. It's okay." And we get that moment where even he looks at him in a bit of relief. Like, you could see that on Pedro's face, where he's like, I am glad I'm taking my helmet off in this moment. Now to take that into a season 2 on a short show that's only 8 episodes, and not all an hour, it's cool to see this, and it's good to see it earlier. We're in episode 3. We've got 8 total, so it's going to be interesting, and I can't wait for those conversations. Like, I'm just excited for that. That's what I'm pumped for.
A big theme that especially this episode seems to nail home, and I'm guessing that this is going to be brought throughout the rest of the series, is that thought of balance. And it always seems to have been, it's always a big theme in Star Wars, is we're going to bring balance to the Force, but when you remove that from it, we start to get a lot of a lot of things get shown to us in this particular episode of how extreme the Children of Death Watch are. They're a very extremist group. And then we also see when Gideon pops up on the holo monitor when they're on the Gazantes, like, what's the line that he says? May the Empire live forever. No, it's something.
It's something
like
along
that.
those lines.
Something along those lines. But it's
Didn't
like
he say "Long live the Empire"?
Long live the Empire. That's what it is.
Yeah.
We see an extremist sect of the Empire, and it almost seems as though that they're trying to show these as after Return of the Jedi, we start to get to these extremist factions, and that as time goes on, we really start to find where the balance is really needed in
yeah. All right, Tanner, why don't you read us off something else in your little notes, since you come more prepared than the two guys who've been doing this show and this channel. This is why we have a guest like you on.
Carry the load for us.
I did have a few fun facts actually right at the beginning from this episode that I ended up picking up. These are just fun little things that they carry throughout Star Wars. The tiny little things that you need a magnifying glass to honestly find. But I don't know if you guys noticed the when he's going in for a landing, there's a couple things that are happening. One, if you transcribe the Orbesh as he's coming in initially into the planet, you can read it's translated to broken landing gear as it's coming down. You're like, okay, that makes sense. Well, as it's coming down, if you retranslate it right as he's coming into the landing pad, it reads, "Of course I still love you," which I don't know if you guys are familiar. Initially, that's a reference to a sci-fi book called The Player of Games by Ian Banks. But more popularly, it's actually Elon Musk named his remote landing pads for SpaceX.
That's why I saw Elon in the news and it was saying stuff with Star Wars. I saw that the other day, but didn't really dive into it. That's kind of cool. I love those little hidden things, man.
It's a stupid little deep cut. Another one was the proximity alert. As he's getting closer, you see the green flashing. The noise on there is the same lock-on noises that they have when they're in like Darth Vader's walking on to the X-Wing and Y-Wings in the Death Star run.
Yeah, that one I
thought. This is a funny one. When the Razor Crest engine blows right before it goes into the water, it's the same noise of the hyperdrive failing from Millennium Falcon.
I didn't notice that. That's cool. I'll have to rewatch it.
Yeah. And then another one was which I loved this. You know, the converted AT-AT that had to go and like pick them up. If you listen really closely, it has the same servo noises that they used in Empire Strikes Back of right before the AT-AT steps on the snowspeeder. It's the same exact noise right before it hits it. So
that's really cool. And they love those deep cuts. I mean, even just the thing with the Beskar container, you know, that he pulled out for the first season is just something that one guy had in the background of Empire as they're running through Cloud City. I just had a question pop into my head that I'm going to throw at you, to you. Do we get, all right, we're 5 years after the fall of the Empire, and we know eventually Snoke takes over and rises that from the ashes of the Empire. Obviously, that's going to be quite a ways down. But as we keep going with the show, do we get a mention of something like that? Because we know after the fall, obviously, from some of the novels like Aftermath, the Aftermath series, there's factions of the Empire. There's plans in place that Palpatine have. Obviously, with the atrocity that is Episode 9, we get that, you know, he always had plans set up. He cloned himself, basically. What did he do? He moved his life essence into a body double that he had, is what the novel revealed. The novel also reveals that kisses of gratitude are important in life. But do we think we get some sort of mention like that? Does somebody in this Empire say something, even a little line like, "Hey, I've heard on the Outer Rim they're doing some better stuff than what, you know, this guy's sending us to chase after this stupid baby, you know," and there's stuff going on in the Outer Rim that sounds more serious. Do we get a mention of something about the rise of the First Order, or do they just completely say no to the prequel or the sequel trilogy here?
Go for it, Kyle.
He's perplexed.
Well, I'm wondering how much Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni enjoy this new trilogy. You know what I mean? I don't think they're gonna go so far as to be like, you see that over there? That's the hidden location of where Emperor Palpatine's being cloned. You know, I don't think they're not gonna go that far. I wouldn't be shocked though if they give a little mention about the First Order, or even the reveal being that the big bad in all this is trying to start the First Order. Like, maybe eventually he gets to a point where, I don't know, where he's like, the old ways of the Empire clearly don't work, and I should not be following this for no reason. But what if I start a new empire and call it the First Order? I don't know. I think at most that could be where the direction of the villains could be, but I don't think they're going to pull stuff from Rise of Skywalker. You know, I don't see us going too far into the new trilogy to connect it to the Mandalorian. That's my initial thought.
Right. I hope not. I really hope that, and from what I've seen, that they are way more interested in telling their own story and doing their own things. They don't want to be connected with that, as far as I can tell. And so far, it feels like they've been given that creative freedom to approach it in whatever manner they wish.
It's refreshing.
It is very refreshing.
It really is.
Yeah.
And I mean, they handled the Mandalorian in such a way where it's like it's almost like they've been reading my fanfic book or something. Like everything that I've wanted out of Star Wars, they've been giving, and I love that. Whereas some of the other properties have felt like you're taking advantage of my love for Star Wars. Instead, it's going to be, let's go ahead and include this fun little reference just because it's Star Wars and everybody's going to love it. Whereas when these guys actually do things like that, it has a lot more meaning, or just like depth to it. Yeah.
Depth, yeah.
And I don't think so. However, that I would say that entirely depends on how much someone above them might be pressuring them to make connections.
Kathleen.
Kathleen might. She might not. I don't know.
Well, this new trilogy has ended, and I wonder if they now feel that they don't need to worry about connecting to that new trilogy anymore, especially because it seems like right now they're focusing on TV more than movies and movie franchises.
Yeah.
So I wonder if, since they're seeing that creative freedom is working, that they're like, hey, you can connect whatever you want to this show with other aspects of Star Wars. You don't have to connect it to this new trilogy. I mean, that's kind of my hope for the most part.
I wonder if it's just something as small as, saying, the Emperor had contingency plans in the Outer Rim on a planet named Exegol. Because, that's enough. Is it going to be as small as that? Do we get it at all? It's all going to be on John, because it does look like he's pretty freeing with his scripts. And Disney clearly trusts him after the millions of dollars he's made for him. But that's a good transition that I had that I just completely lost. I remember what Kyle said, and I was like, man, that is I remember. Okay. The shows, we talked last week that there was the rumor going around that they are going to do a spin-off show of somebody in The Mandalorian, and that they were going to push season 3 of The Mandalorian to film this one next. Because Kyle and I on our show, Tanner, we talked how it might be Boba Fett, since they were leaking it, and that's the only real character we've seen briefly that might make sense. Now I'm wondering if they're thinking of doing a series with Bo-Katan, and basically just giving us a female Mandalorian show. And I wonder if they threw that rumor out there as a leak to kind of see what the perception would be from fans and the media, and then release the character, see what the perception of the live action version of her is, which Katie Sackhoff did an amazing job. She does great work on the animated. The fact that they picked her to come over, because they didn't give Ashley Ahsoka, they gave it to Rosario Dawson. So she ended up doing amazing. I thought she knocked it out of the park playing her in live action. Is this going to be the show that we get? And does that move the needle for you at all? Because Kyle and I were not super on board with the Boba Fett show. I don't know how you felt about that, Tanner. We really just want that Obi-Wan show. But what do you both think of the idea of Bo-Katan as a spin-off show?
I mean, as long as it's interesting and it's good, and there's a fun story to tell there, yes. I suspect that we'll be getting enough of Bo-Katan in this show to not justify a spin-off for her. I mean,
you think she's going to be back more often?
I do, actually, and that actually kind of gets into one of my possible theories of this show of, because, I mean, our main plot threads being, we've got, obviously, his quest to deliver Baby Yoda, which I heard someone call him Yodelini, and I'm not sure how I feel about that one.
Yodelini, he's the child. He's the child, you wackos.
Gross.
But Baby, I don't know if we see Baby Yoda like dropped off, or maybe he gets dropped off and then Mandalorian goes off and does his own thing. I don't think that's going to be the case, because I think this show really does revolve around that whole the lone samurai and his cub kind of a situation. Kind
of a true grit feel to it too. That kind of Western style. So that's one of our main plot threads, and now I think we've had two other big plot threads introduced of the uniting of Mandalore, the people of Mandalore, and also the finding of the Darksaber, getting the Darksaber to Bo-Katan. And also, not to mention, they make a few sections in the episode. It's like, oh, the offer's still open. I do really suspect that there come a point in time where he's like, well, maybe I do need to get back to where. That is interesting if that's where the show would go, because I know it's going to break the world's hearts. We know that Baby Yoda can't be with him forever. This whole show, and the show was announced as a miniseries. A miniseries can be one season, it can be 12. We've seen different miniseries go on, and we've seen some not. But I just don't think that we continue with Baby Yoda and him forever. And I still kind of think that Baby Yoda might leave in this season, and I think Ahsoka takes Baby Yoda in to train him in the ways of the Force.
Okay.
But if the idea then switches, and then we go from him, as he is bringing a species no one has seen or heard of that has magical powers similar to these wizards, that is the narrative that he has, that he just knows of the Jedi and that they have this magical power from years ago. He's trying to get this baby to his people, while really he's questioning who are his people, is what this show has finally started to really introduce. And I really like that. I love that idea that if he does, whether he does or doesn't finally not get rid of, but send Baby Yoda off in a Bye Bye Butterfree style episode, then we'll switch into maybe him taking his place and fighting in maybe another civil war as they try to retake Mandalore, which would be an interesting direction to take the show that I think would make sense. That's a good point. I like that. I like it a lot. Kyle, what are your thoughts?
Well, first with the Bo-Katan spin-off show, right now I'll say no to it.
Well, good thing your opinion doesn't matter, you.
It's true.
DC
it's true.
Shill.
It's true. Out of the three of us, my opinion matters the least. But it seems so far, from the little that I know of this character, it seems like she's a great character in the sense of a secondary character type. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know I mean, of course you can make any character and, flesh them out enough to where they become like their own central story arc, what have you. But right now it kind of seems like to me that it's a good secondary character to have every now and again, but not one to where you necessarily need a full show surrounding them. So until I see more, until I find a reason to where I would like to see more of her, I'll just say no, I don't really need that yet. But I think you guys are about right to where to what the three storylines are for this show. But with the Baby Yoda storyline, I know that we said that Disney is letting Favreau and Filoni be able to do whatever they want. I think the one caveat will be that they really want them to keep Baby Yoda. I could see
Because they
them
want that
really,
money, that merch money.
Exactly. I think that is the one caveat that they're putting on there, which is fine. It's working, It's the whole reason that this Western type show in Star Wars is doing so great as it is. But I do think whenever Baby Yoda is finally home, that could be where the show ends. I don't see it to where Baby Yoda is finally dropped off and then we see more adventures out of the Mandalorian. And it could happen. I've been wrong many times before. Alex has kept track of all the times. It's too many. But that's where I see the vision of the That's where I see the vision of this show going, is that it revolves around Baby Yoda and the Mandalorian and them going on this quest together.
I do not think the show ends with him because I don't think they want to do – I get what you're saying with Disney and that money, but if the show is ending with him, you're going to drag this out. We can't search every planet by planet. The show will get repetitive and boring if they constantly are just doing that. And I think that they would rather have those show last longer than Baby Yoda. I do think Ahsoka takes him. I don't think he has a species.
It's a good
theory. He does, but
Ahsoka Tano is like, I mean, I can teach him in the ways of the Force, but I can't take him. He is yours. You two are permanently bonded, and there's nothing that he must stay with you, kind of a situation.
He's your Padawan.
Yes, that kind
of
yeah.
Maybe she says to him, "Hey, I'll keep him for like a contract." Maybe she's like, "Let me keep him, train him up a little bit as he gets older." And I do think Kyle and I talked about this a little bit last week. I do think we're going to get a flashback. I think it's possible. I think there might have been some spoilers leaked, and I think we're going to get some sort of flashback and see Ahsoka show us a conversation with Yoda. Is where I'm starting to think. And I wonder if Yoda is going to, through this, whether we get a flashback or it's just her saying it, because there's so many conversations that Ahsoka and Yoda must have had because Yoda trained her. Yoda trained the younglings. And I wonder if there's going to be a moment where she says, "No, I know this species. One of my masters was of this species. And I know that they are connected to the Force in a very specific way. They might be part of the wills." And I think we're going to get real spiritual because that's also something super important to Star Wars is the love of that religion that comes from those old samurai movies and what they're fighting for. And I think we'll get a moment where she might say something like, "Look, and then she also might say and reveal how his species ages. She'll say, "Look, in 5 years, this guy's going to be 105 in his species lifetime," or something like that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And that he's going to have a rapid age. Let me take him for the next few years and come back for him and complete your quest. But let me train him and teach him and how he'll be able to survive on his own. And that would be interesting. And then Mando could go off, fight in a war in Mandalore, and we could really evolve with him as a character. And then it would be a cool surprise moment when an Ahsoka and a primed up youngling Baby Yoda shows up to fight. Or it could just be him going back. That could be an idea this show goes. That my nerd brain is going off in all directions right now. But
so in this theory of yours, are you saying that he leaves him like for a full season of the show? Is it for a few episodes? Is it like a time skip type thing, like at the end of this season?
Could be anything.
I didn't know if you were thinking of anything specifically or if you were just...
a time skip could make some sense, especially if they're not going to give Baby Yoda up and he stays with him. going the anime route and doing a classics time skip makes a lot of sense, and jump 2 years in advance from a season to season. We see that in shows all the time. It happened in, a show like The Walking Dead has had time skips, things like that. So a little bit of time passing would work, if especially he can't stay a baby forever. He's 50 years old.
Why not?
We know he's crippled and their species dies at 900. So he's
very quickly.
Yeah.
doesn't have much time.
Once they hit 900,
years.
out.
He's an infinite 50. Does that mean he's walking at 100? You can't do that.
Why not?
Because that wouldn't make any sense. What would he be at 8 then if he's 800?
It's Star Wars.
Hey,
I know.
He brings a good point there.
We need those two explanations. We're going to get the species name, and we're going to get how they age so interestingly. And Kyle and I haven't floated this by Tanner because Kyle and I talked about last week, but we did talk what if. We came up with the same theory that we debunked both at the same time. Do you remember that? What I'm referencing from last week?
I'm spacing on it. I'll probably remember though. We
both in our conversation all of a sudden had a moment where we were like, "What if Yoda on Dagobah was sending his spirit and his Force life energy into to create another species, and it's basically reincarnation through the Force." And that he did a Horcrux move from Harry Potter, because we know he's a Force ghost. So he can't just be there, but we also know that Baby Yoda was alive before Yoda passed. If he's 50 years old, it hasn't been that long since Yoda has died. So, because we're only 5 years past Return of the Jedi, Yoda died, a few days before that final battle. So we know that that's not true, but that was what Kyle and I's thought process was, which could explain that maybe he's supposed to live longer than 900. But he gets so crippled from episodes 5 to 6 because he was spending his time creating another version of himself as an infant, which was part of our thought process. But we got real sweaty on that one.
Your theory, Alex, about Baby Yoda possibly leaving the show, I have an idea about that. I wonder if maybe at the end of this season, Baby Yoda gets kidnapped, and then we don't see him for a couple of episodes next season because the Mando's going after whoever.
That's interesting. If Mando, and they're leading up to showing.
I like that idea.
I like that. I'm good with that theory. I like that a lot.
Then either for a couple episodes or for a season, we see Mando take like a dark descent.
Go full John Wick.
Yeah.
Who killed my dog? Who killed my baby?
They're probably still going to do the story that they've been doing of going to a new planet. What's here? Who knows? Spiders, whatever, and then going off and doing.
That's the bounty hunter life, though. That's the bounty hunter life you live.
But at least
like a D&D campaign.
Yeah,
but at least it would be without the repetition of Baby Yoda doing something wacky, and I don't know.
Nerds
are Yoda is a gift machine.
Nerds are out there playing games like Red Dead Redemption and The Witcher, where it's going from one same storyline to the next, and then they complain about Mando going from one planet to the next. Get out of here. Anyway, I love that theory, and that would be cool if then we get because they're going off the Western trope. Let's really Magnificent Seven this up. We kind of saw it in season 1 where he goes and gets a small crew, but what if we really Magnificent Seven this up, and after he meets Rex, Boba Fett, oh my gosh!
Bill Burr.
Do you still think the Rex thing is happening?
I think what?
Do you still think the Rex thing is happening?
It was announced. They said that he was going to play Rex and Boba Fett.
Wait, that was for sure announced. All I thought that they ever did was announce that he was being cast, and then we came to speculation. Oh, he's either going to play Boba Fett or Rex or both.
I thought that was official, but it might be right. I mean, it would make sense for Rex to be with Ahsoka.
Yeah, it's just I'm curious with the advanced aging that clones have experienced if he's actually still going to be alive by this point.
Yeah, and it would be cool to see it would be cool though if he does play Rex, because we now have seen what he looks like as Boba Fett. It would be cool to see if he has like the white beard from
and the white hair,
everything. Yeah, that would be cool. But I like this Magnificent Seven idea, because that would be such a sandbox thing to really get a legit crew. You can bring Gina Carano, you can bring Carl Weathers, but like if Ahsoka joined them on that mission, if Boba Fett joined them, like if he just said, look, I know you're on Tatooine, like if they have that conversation and they come to a real respect, and then Boba Fett kind of becomes this he's a bounty hunter too. He's not supposed to be a villain. It would be cool to see the two of them fighting alongside each other, and that would go along with everything saying, and that could take up a whole season. You could take a whole season of him going full John Wick, and it would probably bum people out, but do you really want us to speed that up? Like, especially if they build it up and Mando loses. Like, if we really see this season end with Mando really losing, which they've built up, that every time we think he's about to get there, and I know, Tanner, you mentioned this to me the other day, that it has that Deus Machina feel of him getting saved all the time. And if that is their strategy to build it up to an insane loss where he loses and Baby Yoda is taken, he didn't give Baby Yoda up after his job and then he came back, he is taken, that would be really cool to have a whole year of us going, Mando has lost. He's broken, he's defeated, and he's lost this youngling that he is attached to. And we're going to see him go nuts. That would be cool. I'm all up. Kyle, you out here dropping dimes.
Thanks.
What is this? Oh, my gosh. I mean, it's no Ahsoka training Baby Yoda, but it'll do. I'm just kidding.
One of my other theories that I had out there was, actually, you know what? Going off another thought that I had, going off of the like John Wick season and so on. Who do you think captures Baby Yoda? Do you think that's going to be a situation of Gideon gets a hold of him? Because we know that Gideon's been trying to get a hold of him. Huh?
It's got to be Moff Gideon, doesn't it?
Or Boba Fett kidnaps
If Moff
Yoda
Gideon hires Boba Fett and he takes him, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. He could obliterate like Mando, take his helmet back, put it on, pick up Baby Yoda, and leave. Oh my, I'm in.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
I'll pay another $6.99 right now for that Disney Plus.
The theory's no Ahsoka training Baby Yoda by any means. It's a good theory.
Not even close. But that's good. I'm all for that.
There's still a bounty out on not only Mando but also the child, correct?
Yeah. Okay. I imagine so.
They didn't take away the bounty. They just didn't arrest him.
Dude, they just speaking of which, on this episode, when the Quarians like put him in there, it's like, oh, the Beskar armor's mine now. Oh my God, there's people after him for his armor. There's people after him for bounty for Baby Yoda, and the dude's got so much against him right now. My God,
more so than we realized.
Yeah. All right, we should wrap up here because we've been going on long enough, but let's just get our any other final theory you want to touch on? I had to roll up my sleeves because I legit am getting sweaty, and I love it. Any final theories you two have, excitements of next episode that is you want to wrap up here?
I guess one last theory that I have, do we see Sabine? And does, when Ahsoka Tano, since we've been doing the whole side quest thing, when Mando gets to there, do we meet not only Ahsoka but also Sabine as they're trying to rescue Ezra? Does Ahsoka say, "Hey, I will do this for you if you help me on my mission"?
Oh my God, I'm getting too excited today. I haven't been this happy in a while. Oh, well, first off, my gosh.
Is the hooded figure in this episode supposed to be Sabine?
That was not Sabine. That character's name was Costa Reeves. Costa Reeves, played by Sasha Banks.
Yeah, that was the other Mandalorian, the other female.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I wasn't too sure if it was Sabine, but at the same time, I wasn't sure if that was a teaser or not. Maybe I'm wondering like how much a deep connection they're going to do on that scale. You know what I mean? Because those are like big plot points for, Rebels, and then even going back for Clone Wars as well. Like they're introducing characters for those shows, obviously, into Mandalorian, but
Yeah.
I don't know if they're necessarily going to have the character involved in those storylines that are open-ended. It could happen, like for sure, but the way that this show is being constructed, I wouldn't put too much stock into it. But
You could get
you
Go ahead.
You go.
But you could get a real funny moment where he's like, I've been quested to return this child to his kind, and Ahsoka goes, we've been looking for our buddy for 5 years. We haven't found him. You want to find him? I've only met one of these guys, 2 with Yaddle. Like, I've only met 2 of these species. You kidding me? Like, I've been all over the galaxy. Like, that would be kind of funny. But, sorry, I've completely lost my train of thought. Tanner, you go.
That's all I really actually had for theories. I've got tons of other stuff, but we can discuss that. Actually, okay. Fun moments that I did actually want to talk about was when they're on the cargo freighter, they're blasting through them. 2 moments that I loved is one is like it seems as though there's about 10 of them. Then they do the thermal scan. Oh, there's 4.
Yeah.
And the other one was, have you taken care of the situation? Oh, yes, we have. They're in the cargo control area. The what? The cargo control area. Boosh.
Yeah, that is classic Star Wars humor, which is what is so great about John and Dave, is that they're really able to put that into this show, because I do think we do get that humor in Force Awakens, and I do think we get some of it in The Last Jedi, and I think we don't get it. I think we go very prequely in Rise of Skywalker, so it's nice in this new stuff that we're getting that style of humor back, because I think it really works. If he does go help find Ezra, and then that ends up being our spin-off show, is them then whatever happens with Ezra and the live action Ahsoka and everything, that could be interesting. I'd be more interested in that than a Boba Fett show personally. But I'm just excited for this next episode. I would bet that Carl Weathers, it's going to be where Mando goes and meets them, just because if he's going to direct an episode, it just makes so much sense for Dave Filoni to direct the episode with his kind of child in it. So I would imagine that he does a little bit of research into what forest planet this is, and that he's going to need a little bit of hired guns, or maybe the Razor Crest just can't get there, and it's closer to get to them on I don't know why the planet's name is escaping me, but get Corvus, yes, get to them, and then just say, hey, can you guys really help me get here? I finally have figured it out. So I'm interested. I'm excited for this next episode. I love it. And the last thing I'm going to wrap up on, because I feel like it would be a disservice not to mention one of the kids I teach again, and just his absolute monster love of Star Wars. He doesn't, he's 6. He's not going to get up to watch the episodes at 5 a.m. like his teacher does. But I did ask him what he thought of episode 2, because he hadn't seen it, and he was like, it was so cool, although the spiders, they were pretty scary. It's like, exactly. And that's pretty much all he said. He just loved it, and the spiders were scary. So I'm going to do that for the rest of this. I'm going to find out what he thought of the prior episode, and I'm going to share it here, because that's the best part of Star Wars, is that child in us all that I get to luckily watch every day, to the point where the kids are chanting at me, we would like to watch Mandalorian, and I have to get parent approval for that kind of thing. So let's hold off on that. But you know your boy's gonna send an email. And I know that some will say no. But yeah. So all right, guys, thank you for watching. We wrapped up an awesome after show. Absolutely love getting sweaty, talking all the great stuff. It was another great episode all around. Directed great, acted. The score by Ludwig was awesome. So it was just a great episode. I'm excited for the next one. And we will. Thank you, Tanner, for joining us. Love having you on. And as always, thanks for watching, Mom.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.
Let's go.